Assalamu alaikum. I welcome you to the General Anatomy lecture. This is my second lecture for the circulatory system. In this lecture, we will discuss about blood vessels, their classifications, and their brief histology as well. Let's start with the blood vessels. Blood is carried in closed system of vessels that begin and end in the heart. Blood travels through pulmonary circuit. We have two major systems. One is the systemic circulation and other is the coronary circulation. Now we come to the functions of the blood vessels. The major function is the transport of the respiratory gases, delivery of the nutrients, removal of the waste products, and transport of the hormones, filtration of the blood, body temperature regulation that is carried about by when there is hot weather. The skin blush. This is due to increased circulation of blood that allow dissipation of the heat and maintenance of blood pressure. Then in the end, it also provide an immune response. We have major five classes of blood vessels. One are the arteries that carry blood away from the heart. We have the arterioles, are smallest branches of the arteries. Then we have the capillaries, are the smallest vessels that allow gaseous exchange between the blood and the interstitial fluid. Then we have venules that collect blood from the capillaries, and veins return blood to the heart. Now we come to the brief histology of the blood vessels. The innermost layer is known as the tunica intima or the tunica interna. It is composed of endothelial layer, which is basically simple squamous epithelium, and the second layer that is outside the tunica intima, that is the tunica media. It is composed of smooth muscles, and in the end we have the tunica adventitia. In this figure, this is the innermost layer that is composed of single layer of squamous cells that forms tunica intima, the innermost layer, and it has got some elastic tissue with it. Then the middle layer is the tunica media, that is composed of smooth muscles, and in the end we have the tunica adventitia that has got connective tissue that merge with the structures in the organs that are present around it. This is the simple squamous epithelium. Then we have the smooth muscles of tunica media. Then we have the connective tissue that is the tunica adventitia. This is another picture of these three layers. Here you can appreciate this is the histological picture of artery and the vein. In this you can see the lumen of the artery is patent while the lumen of the vein is collapsed. This is the major difference, histological difference, because of presence of these larger layers of smooth muscles. The lumen of the artery remains patent. On the other hand, due to presence of less amount of smooth muscle in the tunica media, the lumen of the vein collapses. Now we come to the anatomical classification of the blood vessels. This is the first type of classification. Then we will do other types of classifications as well. But in this lecture, we will only cover the anatomical classification of the blood vessels. We have the arteries that carry blood away from the heart. thick walled and they can withstand hydrostatic pressure of blood during ventricular systole. Then blood pressure pushes the blood through the vessel. Here there are different types of arteries. These are the figure you can see on the top. This is the um, large sized arteries. In the middle you have medium sized arteries, and in the end we have the capillaries. Firstly, we come to the elastic or the conducting arteries. These are thick walled arteries and are present near the heart. The best example is the aorta and its major branches. Lumen is large and allow less resistance for the conduction of blood. Contains elastin in all three tunics, and it can withstand smooth uh, it can withstand and smooth out large blood pressure fluctuations, and in the end it allows blood to flow fairly continuously throughout the body. Then we come to the muscular and the distributing arteries and the arterioles. Muscular arteries are present distal to the elastic arteries, deliver blood to the body organs. They have thick tunica media with more smooth muscles and less elastic tissue, and they are active in vasoconstriction. Arterioles are smallest arteries that lead to capillary bed that and their diameter varies from 200 to 400 micrometers. They control the flow into the capillary bed via vasodilatation and constriction. Here you can see pressure reservoir function of the elastic arteries. Here you can see when the blood comes into these arteries, the lower finger in the figure that is present uh, on the upper portion of the slide, you can see when the blood is pushed from the ventricle into the vessel expands. On the other hand, the lower figure, when the blood is continuous towards the capillaries, the lumen of the artery collapses. Now we come to the larger arteries. The larger arteries contains tunica media that has got only two smooth layers. Then we come to the terminal arterioles that has got only one layer of smooth muscles in the tunica media and surrounds the endothelium. Then we have the meta-arterioles that contains discontinuous layer of smooth muscles and branch into our capillaries. Precapillary sphincters are present in the meta-arterioles and consists of smooth muscle cells which act as sphincter. Aneurysms are present due to some lesion in the, you can say, in the vessel. Then we come to the capillaries. Capillaries are single cell thick endothelium. They function in diffusion, filtration, and transcytosis. Basically, blood passes through these capillaries as a single layer. The cells has to line up in a single layer to pass through these capillaries. The major function is the diffusion, in which there is gaseous exchange. The oxygen is taken up by the surrounding tissues, and the carbon dioxide is absorbed back into the capillaries. The second function that is brought about by the capillaries is the filtration. Filtration of the blood. The capillaries, the filtration is basically carried at the in the kidneys at the in the Bowman's capsule, that is the part of the nephron in which uh, the wastes and nutrients, water, urea, they all are separated, and finally they are excreted by the kidneys. The next function that is carried about by the capillaries is the transcytosis. In the transcytosis, this is the total mechanism of transcytosis. You can see here one by one all the events are shown on your screens. Firstly, diffusion through the membrane. They are mostly lipid soluble substances. They move through the intercellular clefts. Mostly these are the water soluble substances. Some move through the fenestrations. They are the water soluble substances and they are of larger diameter. Some may pass through by vesicles or caveoli. They are formed in the they are basically vacuoles. They are formed, and they enter from one side of the cell and they are excreted from the other side of the cell. This is the basic mechanism of transcytosis. Then capillaries are the diameter of the capillaries. They are mostly 5 to 9 micrometer in diameter. We have major three types of capillaries. One are the continuous capillaries. They are most abundant in the skin muscles and have and their endothelium is uninterrupted. It do not contain any gaps, and the adjacent cell and the adjacent cells are held together by tight junctions. These are the continuous capillaries, and the best example is the blood-brain barrier. Here you can see this is one cell, this is one cell, and this is the other cell, and there is no intervening gap between the two cells. Then we come to the fenestrated capillaries. They have got small pores or fenestrations in their linings. These are mostly found in small intestines, endocrine glands, and kidneys. Here you can see the gap is 60 to 90 nanometer. Here you can see the two cells of the capillaries, and there are small fenestrations that has been labeled here. You can see small fenestration between the joining ends of the cells. Then we have the sinusoids. Sinusoids are highly modified, leaky, fenestrated capillaries and has got larger lumens, 30 to 40 micrometer, and they are mostly found in the liver, bone marrow, lymphoid tissues, and some endocrine glands. They allow large molecules to pass between between the blood and the surrounding tissues. Here you can see they are large gaps. You can see the incomplete basement membrane where this is written. You can see there is gap between the cells. Then we come to the capillary bed. A microcirculation of interwoven network of capillaries is known as capillary bed, and it consists of vascular shunts and true capillaries. Vascular shunts allow redistribution of blood during exercise. Met arterioles and thoroughfare channel connect an arteriole directly with the post-capillary venule. Then we have true capillaries. Um, there are 10 to 100 per capillary bed and capillary branch off the meta-arteriole and return to the thoroughfare channel at the distal end of the bed. Here, this is very good example of the capillary bed showing the meta-arterioles and the thoroughfare channels. Here you can see when these precapillary sphincters are closed, the blood passes through the meta-arteriole and it directly go into the capillary bed it directly go into this thoroughfare channel. When these precapillary sphincters are not closed, the blood passes through these true capillaries and then it go to the venule. Here you can see blood passes through this thoroughfare channel and goes into the postcapillary venule from the terminal arteriole to the postcapillary venule. Now we come to the venules. Blood drains from the capillaries into the venules. Two or more capillaries join to form postcapillary venule and their diameter is about 30 micrometers. Water, solute and leukocytes move out in the intercellular spaces in inflammation. The postcapillary venule, blood from the postcapillary venule goes to the muscular venule and then finally into the collecting venule. Here we come to the preferential channels or the thoroughfare channels. We have already discussed it. It open when precapillary sphincters reduce blood flow through local capillary network. They bypass the capillary bed and they are mostly found in the mesenteries, skin and externalia. Here you can see precapillary sphincters, you can see the terminal arterioles, then precapillary sphincters, then meta-arterioles, then blood going to the thoroughfare channel. Veins carry blood to the heart. They are thinner walled than the arteries, possesses one-way valve that prevent backward flow of the blood. Blood flow through the body movement, not from blood pressure. Small and medium, there are three types of veins: small, medium and large veins. Here you can see the veins has got muscles on their both sides. Due to the contraction of the muscle, blood passes through this. Varicose veins are mostly seen in the superficial veins, in which the veins become enlarged and twisted, and they are basically due to incompetent valves in the larger veins. This is the clinical picture of the varicose veins. Then we come to the venicomitants. One artery accompany two veins constitute venicomitants. Two venicomitants flank artery on each side and are connected to each other by numerous cross connections. This is the best picture of the vena comitans. Here you can see an artery has got three veins around it, and they has got vascular sheath around them. You can see this sheath very clearly. Now we come to an end of an now we come to the end of the anatomical classification of the blood vessels. Next time we will discuss about functional classification of the blood vessels. Thank you for your attention. Allah Hafiz.